Can see everybody now. Okay, I think we're going to get started. So if you don't mind muting yourselves so that everybody can hear me okay for the time being. And then there's somebody else in the waiting room. And then we'll open it up for any questions. Hopefully we can get through this and it won't take too long. So I just wanted to give an update about a few things that are going on. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody's good? Okay, awesome. Okay, so I did send out a message over the weekend, as you all know, that we had our very first positive coronavirus case in our center. For those of you who don't know, we have been open straight through since March. And we were open initially just for essential workers. We did everything we could to provide the service that we set out to provide, to keep it safe, to keep our staff working, to keep our doors open, to keep our children happy and in a fun, as normal as possible atmosphere. And we have been safe, and we've accomplished that over all of these months. And I'm very grateful to our staff and our team for everything they do every day to keep our children happy and safe and learning and active and all the things they do. They do an amazing job, and I am very, very grateful. We just found out today that we have a second positive case, unfortunately. It's not a surprise. It's in the same pod, so no other pods are affected. The two children who are both tested positive are friends. They play together all the time. And like I said, they are in the same pod, which is already closed. The pod that is affected, nobody has been in here for, well, we found out over the weekend. So yesterday and today, the pod was closed. We are keeping that pod closed until, I think I told the pod families the 21st, but I think it's actually the 23rd now. I apologize for the mistake. But we do need to quarantine everybody from that pod for a full 14 days. And I spelled out in my message to those specific families, I spelled out the timeline that the health department told me, which is the guidelines for when to get tested, how to get tested, how long to quarantine, how long to isolate if you do have a positive case, if you get a negative case. So I will say, in a very positive note, both of the children right now are asymptomatic. So I feel amazing that nobody in our community is terribly sick. But having two children who have a positive test is scary. And I feel like we've been exceedingly lucky, as well as very careful, but more lucky than careful. We are doing everything we can. We are keeping the pods separate. All the grown-ups are definitely wearing masks. We're washing our hands. We're having the kids wash their hands. We're doing all of the things that we're supposed to be doing. And we have been lucky. And this is the first time that it's entered our doors. Now that it has entered our doors, though, it brings up a lot of questions, and it brings up concern, and it brings up, just that fear. We're human beings, and we love the children here, and we love each other here. We love our team members, and we want to make sure that everybody stays as safe as possible. If you have not yet heard, the school district has now announced as of today that they are not going to be going back to school on November 30th, as they had originally said. I didn't hear any extended information other than not yet. So whether they're just pushing it back, I don't know for how long. But from what we understand from the health department, and like I said, I've spoken to them several times between Sunday and today. I've spoken to several different health department representatives, and I've spoken to them several times. We actually have a couple of our community here who work at the health department, which is helpful as well. So we get some of extra information and extra guidance, which is wonderful. The cases are going up in Philadelphia, as they are all over the country. So it is concerning, and I do believe that we need to make some changes. The biggest change that we need to make right now, which we had discussed back in August, I believe, before the school year started, is that we really need to try and reinforce the children wearing masks now. I personally have seen a lot of children doing anything from, pulling their mask down and chewing on it, cutting their earpieces into little pieces, sharing masks, giving their masks to their friends. So I know it's not ideal. I know it's not perfect. And I know that, a lot of the argument for having children wear masks is that other schools have done it and it's worked well. But I've also heard from the school administration and the teachers, and I know a lot of people who work in schools, and they say the same things. It's not perfect with children wearing masks, and children's behavior is children's behavior across the board. But that doesn't mean that it won't work some of the time. So I just really feel like at this point, we need to mitigate as much risk as we possibly can. And that means really enforcing, so the logistics of it, I'm trying to pick my words carefully, and it's difficult. So excuse me if I'm stumbling a little bit. We're asking for your help. We're hoping that you also can ask your kids to try their hardest to wear a mask while they're here. If you ask them to, and we ask them to, and we reinforce it in creative ways, there can be, the poster child for mask wearing, and you get a gold star for wearing your mask all day. You get a sticker for even trying to wear it for most of the day. I would never ever want it to be a punitive issue if a child has a hard time with their mask. We do have some special needs children who I know will have a particularly difficult time with wearing a mask. We will try and get them to wear it gently, but if they won't, I'm not going to force, forgive me if I'm overstepping, but I'm not going to force an autistic child to wear a mask all day. It's just not, it's not going to work. Our preschool as well. The preschool actually has the best track record so far of kids that do wear masks in our center. So they're doing a fantastic job already. It is not recommended for children under 2. We don't have any kids under 2. We do have a couple kids who are 2. If they wear a mask, that is fantastic. If they can wear a mask for part of the day, that is fantastic. as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to argue science because I know that some people out there do have arguments. And I'm not going to go there. It's not about that. It's about doing everything that we can possibly do to make our children feel as normal as possible, to make sure that they know that we love them, that they're having fun, that they are cared for, that they can still have friends here, and they can also be as safe as we can possibly make them. And if our safety level is here and having them wear masks makes it just a little bit better, then it's worth trying to get them to wear the masks all day. Any kind of safety measure is worth it to me. Now that the virus has entered our doors, anything we can do to keep people as safe as possible is worth it. It's not just about the kids either. It's also about my team, and I care about them beyond words. Sorry, I'm gonna get upset. There's a lot of you on this call, and I'm
we love you too.
thank you. Oh, somebody else is on the call, sorry. Yeah, it means a lot to me that our team has really dedicated themselves to staying safe in work and also out of work in order to keep each other and the children here and and the whole community safe, and all the parents, because if it spreads to all of us. So it means so much to me that not only are you all safe and not only are the kids safe, but also that the team is safe. And the 2 children that do have positive cases now, there's 3 teachers that were mainly in that room, and they, as well as a couple other of us, are all getting tested. There are 3 main teachers that are also are quarantined along with the pod. And it's difficult. I'm scared for them. I believe in my heart that they'll be okay and that we're going to get a lot of negative tests. But that doesn't mean that I'm not afraid of it. So we are asking for your help in this way. And we are going to be asking the children when they first get here, if they don't have a mask, we'll have some child-sized masks available. If they won't wear a mask, we'll try and encourage it in fun ways and in reinforcing ways, in positive ways. But we will do whatever we can to try and, without being punitive, we will do whatever we can to keep everybody safe. If the school district and the city and cities and towns across the whole country are saying that mask wearing and hand washing.
Jordan, you have scallops today. You love scallops. Try what's on your plate, please.
Yeah,
Sorry. Jamie, I think you are
muted.
Talking to everybody. So if, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself. Even if it helps a little bit, then it's worth doing right now. I was talking to the health department and looking at maps and looking at data, and some of our community sent me some data. And the entire country pretty much right now is in the red zone. So definitely cases are going up, which brings us to another point that I wanted to discuss with tonight, which is Thanksgiving and traveling during Thanksgiving. I talked to the health department about that, and our policy has always been, or since March, our policy has been that if you travel from Pennsylvania to a state that is on Pennsylvania's do not travel list, that you'd have to quarantine when you got back. At this point, even the health department is saying you're traveling from one red state to another red state, it's not going to make any difference because no state, even our state, is really safe to gather in. So the best that we can ask is that you be as careful as you can be and that you be as honest with us as you can be. And we appreciate the communication. We appreciate people asking us how we feel about it. I personally, my family lives in Pennsylvania, not in Philadelphia, but I'm not doing Thanksgiving with them this year. I have elderly parents and I'm not going to go see them. But that's my decision. I can tell you what we are going to ask if you do go visit family is that when you come back, if anybody in your family wasn't feeling well in any kind of way, they think they may have had a cold or whatever, or have any symptoms, when you come back, if either you or your child has any kind of symptoms, that you please stay home until you are sure that it was just a cold, or you get a negative test, or you quarantine if that's what it takes, whatever it is that you feel you need to do to come back to our community safely. And that might be different for different people. It might be that you do take a test. It might be that you just stay away for a little while. But if you're traveling and everybody feels safe and nobody is sick and nobody has any concerns, or like I said, it's not going to be much different than going to a grocery store here, or going to a grocery store in New Jersey, or going to a grocery store in West Virginia or whatever. It's just because they're all in red states right now. So I do want to stress that I feel like as a community, we do have a responsibility, and as business owners right now, we have several responsibilities, and the children come first. They are our biggest responsibility right now, is our students. Second to that, I think would be, sort of equal or beyond the students is their families. So you all, the parents. Right up there along with them is the team, our staff. And it's like this careful balance, because we are also a small business, and that is a serious consideration as well. We just moved into a beautiful new school, which we love, but there is also finances involved, and having one pod closed for 2 weeks is, a decent amount of our income and a decent amount of what goes into our rent and paying our staff and paying our insurance and all of our bills. So there are financial considerations as well, and I just want to be as upfront and honest and transparent as I possibly can be. Absolutely, safety of everybody comes first, but there certainly are financial concerns as well. So I just want to put it out there and be transparent about it. We will do whatever we have to do, even if it means at some point quarantining the entire school, which I hope we never get to. But we will do what we have to do to keep everybody safe, but we don't want to go there. We don't want to let it get out of control here to the point where we have to shut everybody out for any length of time, because we have not done that yet. And I would hate to see that happen. I do have notes, and I've gone out of order, and now I'm getting myself confused. So I just want to say that beyond our own feelings, there is definitely the health department mandates. So along with how we all think we should be staying safe, the health department could walk in at any time and say you are or aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I just want to let it also be known in the name of transparency that the health department has said that we should be trying everything we can to make sure that children wear masks. So again, we are asking that you help us reinforce that with your children. I guess that's all I had to say. In closing, it's a very, very careful balance, and we are trying our best. I think I started with this. We are trying our very best to make sure the kids feel comfortable and feel safe and have fun and know that they are okay here and that they feel they can play and be safe and have friends. I think that we really can achieve doing that and making them feel like this is a normal place and also wear masks. So it's that, you know, that balance of keeping people safe and also living a normal life. Keep in mind that this is temporary. There's been a lot of really positive news out there lately about vaccines coming. According to our one health department parent, the Pfizer announcement maybe was slightly premature, but there are vaccines coming, and from our understanding, from everything we've read and from what we're getting from doctors who are also in our community, we have infectious disease specialists in our community, and we have epidemiologists in our community, and we have health department people in our community. So we have amazing people who are feeding us information. And according to them, there are very safe and very effective vaccines coming soon. So we are doing everything we can to keep everybody as safe and happy as we can until those vaccines become available. So on that note, I will.
We want to open it for questions.
I know. Do I want to open for questions? There have been some chats, which is awesome. So some of the chat people. Yes, thank you for all of the support. We love seeing that. We love the support we get from all of you. It's amazing. Does anybody have any questions for me? As of now, we are open, you know, for all of our pods except for the one pod that includes
Spa.
yeah, if you know it as the spa group, which is the Spanish speaking group. It includes
not named after the relaxing nature of the
right. It's ICS and Southwark, and I think there's one other school represented. in there somehow.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was named
it's
after Spanish immersion,
immersion
SBA for
programs.
Spanish. That's how it got its name.
And I just want to point out that we miss the kids in this pod so much, and I want to show them, if there's anybody out there that's in that group, your plants are growing, even though you're not here. Your plants are growing. This is Teacher Zombie's project.
We can't really hear you, Sharon.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to show you teachers. I'm not muted, am I? I just wanted to point out that Teacher Zummy's plants are growing, and the classroom plants are growing. And we miss you. We decided to have the Zoom meeting in the closed pod for dramatic effect, of course, because we do miss you, and we cannot wait for the quarantine period to be over, because we cannot wait for you to get back.
And in case you're wondering, we did have this pod and the school sanitized right after, on Sunday. They actually came in and sanitized the entire place. So we're not sitting in an infected pod.
Right, yes. Yeah, so we do have a professional cleaning service that comes, and they have this special spray that, we have
They
to be
charge a
out
lot
of
for.
here. They do charge a lot for. But we found out at like 9 o'clock Saturday night that about the first positive case. So I reached out to all of you Sunday morning and let you know what was going on. We had our cleaning service here sanitizing the whole place by Sunday, what they
11
come,
a.m.
11 a.m. So that it all happened quickly, and we are prepared, and we can do that at the drop of a hat, to make sure that we contain and we stay safe. Is that Layla in there? Hi, the other Layla.
Oh, yeah, hey.
So if there are
Hi,
any,
Layla.
oh, there's
Yeah.
Teacher
I
Zami.
miss you.
So if anybody has any questions, we are open to questions.
You
Cohen?
can unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see that something needs to happen, but how would this work practically if the kids are, let's say, interacting with their teacher? Are they, once they sit at their desk, can they then remove their face mask, or is it the plan that they have it on for most of the day, or?
It will be on for most of the day. If they are at their desk and interacting just with their teacher on their computer, I would say that, if they pull their mask down or take it off for their classroom period, then I would have no problem with that. What does become a problem then is if they have another kid is on a break, because remember, most of the kids in the pods are in different classrooms in their actual school. Like they're in the same room here, but they're taking different classes, so they have different break times. So another kid comes up and is kind of like, hey, what are you looking at? Even if a kid is in class, and that's up to us, that's up to our pod teachers to say, hey, Geis is in class, John, leave him alone, and kind of shoo them away. So again, a balance. If they are focused in their classroom and with their teacher, and especially if they have the barriers, some of them use the cardboard barriers, I would say no, they don't have to wear a mask during that time. When they step away from their desk, then they should put it back on. We've also ordered, and they should be here any day now, we've ordered special face, what are they called?
Shields.
Shields, yeah. We've ordered shields for our teachers, which are kind of different shields. They connect on the bottom rather than the top,
Mm.
because the children are underneath
Mhm.
us. So the problem with the regular shields, well, some of the kids are above me, but most of the teachers, so the shield goes up from the
Mm.
neck. So if children are talking to them from underneath, it'll keep both the teachers and the children safer that way. So all of the teachers will have a shield soon.
This is one.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Rich has one, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
goes from underneath and goes up.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for explaining.
So that also will help. So if, like, say your child is engaged online and doesn't have a mask on, and needs help with something,
Yeah.
then our teacher can come with a shield and get closer to them to help them with their
Yeah.
computer or their class,
Mm.
and still stay safe. Both the child and the teacher will stay safer.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Alex.
Hey, Alan.
Any other
Sharon?
question? Yes.
So what would need to, like, what would think about what shutdown would look like, if what those parameters would look like that would cause a shutdown for the center?
So some of that would be our determination. Some of that would be the health department's. When we had our first positive case, I called, like I said, I called the health department immediately on Sunday, because that's what we're supposed to do. According to the health department regulations, most schools and childcare centers do not call the health department. Hi, Piper. So people really aren't doing what they're supposed to do, a lot of schools. And that just breaks my heart. I mean, that we're, as a whole community, we're in this together. So I don't have the specific numbers right now. What they have told us today, when I reported our second case, they made sure they asked me very specific questions. And they wanted to know what the interactions are between pods, and wanted to make sure that both of the students were in the same pod. And when the last time anybody from that pod was here. So nobody has been here this week, like I said. So the last interactions were last Friday. If we found out that people from other pods were affected, I'm all about communication and all about relationships. And I don't expect you to trust me with your children if I'm not going to be honest with you. So it's, as soon as I know anything, you would know. So right now we have no positive cases affecting any other but the one pod.
But a positive case shuts down a pod.
Right, one positive case shuts down one pod. So if another pod has a positive case, I guess the first thing we would try and do is see whether it's connected to the other pod, or whether they got it from somewhere else. So if it's connected to the already affected pod, then we would have to see how are we transmitting within our center. If we find out that they, had a family get together and they're pretty sure they got it from that family get together, then we have to shut down another pod, but we don't have to shut down the entire center. So I guess we would have to evaluate that on a case-to-case basis.
So there wasn't any siblings from the shutdown pod in a different like a preschool or a different pod?
So there was one sibling, but the health department considers that a secondary exposure,
Okay.
which does not shut down the pod, because there's no indication at this point that the sibling from the shutdown pod is infected. And
And to further make that point, the second case who tested positive in this pod has a sibling in this pod who tested negative.
Okay, so there's two siblings, one tested positive, one tested negative, but
Right.
they're in two separate pods.
No,
No, one
no.
pod.
They're in the same pod.
They're in the
Okay.
same pod. But
Okay.
there's another, yeah,
I understand you don't want to you can't
Yeah.
give up too much information. I was just wondering
Right.
if there's any other siblings in other pods that were,
No.
in that same household.
no,
Okay. As always, appreciate everything you do. You're always very transparent. You've
thank
been
you.
on the ball. You've been very communicative, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather. Any other questions?
Now, in the event that we do shut down, I have an insurance license. And you can go to agentnotincluded.com and you could buy life insurance and that would help us out too.
Are you hiring?
Yes, you guys are going to be working for me.
Right. Yes, we'll do whatever we can to keep our staff working, even if it means selling insurance. But seriously, on that note, if we are not, on a financial note, we are not going to charge you if we shut down a pod. It's been our policy for a long time to not make people pay for what they don't use. And now even beyond that, if we can't offer you a service, we're not going to make you pay for a service.
We heard the horror story.
Yes, and I know some schools some very, very expensive private schools are still making people pay tuition. And I just can't see it in myself to do that. Now, that being said, we are doing everything we can to keep our staff employed, even though we're losing the income from the shutdown pods, and to keep our staff getting most, if not all, of their paycheck, even though their specific job is shut down. So,
We'll do what we can as long as we can.
right, exactly.
For the benefit
So,
of everyone.
Again, full transparency. Yeah, we are trying our very, very best.
I just wanted to say, it seems like you're getting a lot of positive feedback on here. So I don't know if you're getting negative feedback about the masks, but I'm super supportive of this. I'm glad you're doing this. I want them to wear masks more, and thank you. And I also appreciate that you're being reasonable about how hard it is to do and how some kids might not be able to do it all the time. And I think that's fine. I think I'm with you, more masks, better. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right, thank you. I really appreciate that. And without going into detail or anything, we have a very diverse community here, and I love that. I love hearing different ideas, and some people, I'm not going to get into a whole discussion here about it, but some people agree with my philosophies and some people don't. And same with politics or whatever. It's to me, this isn't a political issue. It's really very basic. If one more child stays safe because of masks, then it's better to be as safe as possible and keep that one child safe. So if wearing masks helps more people stay safe, then that's what we're going to be doing. As like you said, as much as possible. So I'm a Libra. I'm very try to be very balanced. But we are going to do whatever we can to make sure that happens. So it doesn't seem like there's other questions. So I guess we'll sign off now. If anybody has any private questions or comments, we're always here. We're always available. I know when I sent out the message on Bright Wheel, even on Sunday, several people called my cell phone instead of answering through Bright Wheel, and that's fine as well. You all have both mine and Rich's cell phone numbers. You can also reach us through Bright Wheel. I don't know if you realize that when you send a message through Bright Wheel, your pod teacher sees it, but Rich and I also see it. Not every pod teacher sees the other pods, but Rich and I see all of the pods' communications. So if you send a message specifically about this, or, you know, with a question that's kind of more geared towards one of us, we'll see it and we will answer you rather than the teacher, but the teacher also sees what we're saying. Okay. All right, on that note, oh, I see Owen. Hi, Owen.
Oh, hey, Ellen.
You can say hi, teacher.
Bye, Alex. Bye, Piper.
Did we miss any kids?
Yeah, I don't know
No
if we
kids.
missed any kids. I like to say hi to them.
Bye, friends.
Hi,
Hi, Alex. Hi,
John.
Piper.
Who's there? Oh, the McPhersons are here.
Oh, wow.
Owen.
Jordan, how were the
Oh,
scallops?
there's Asa
I see Ace
and
and
Nairi.
Irene.
Thank you for everything. All right.
All right,
Thank
bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Jordan.